Hello YouTube! In this episode, we're in a cupboard. Why am I in a cupboard, you say? Well, I can't do it. Why are we in a cupboard? We're in a cupboard so we can access under the gunnel here and take off the rail which is leaking. Unfortunately, with all the rain we've been having, I suppose it's fortunate really, that we've actually found a few leaks. But the bad part is that they're leaking through bolts that are attaching the tow rail onto the hull. And the only way we're going to be able to repair this properly and make sure it's sealed is to take it off. So it's a bit of a nightmare, but we've taken the bolts out. With the cap rail removed, we can see that it was bonded in various places with a suitable marine adhesive and sealant, but not throughout its full length. Whilst the stanchion bases were drilled through the deck, they were not installed with backing plates. In fact, unless these had been removed by the previous owner, and given the length of stud visible on the underside of the deck, we don't believe that's likely, we don't think they even had nuts on the underside of the deck head. Instead, they were just held in place by sealant around the thread of the machine screw. The bolts we removed were 6mm in diameter with a countersunk head at about 63mm in length, made of a type of bronze alloy or likely gunmetal. I think 70mm M6 countersunk to replace, made from A4 or 316 stainless. But this time I'll change out the flat slotted head with a Torx or hex head for easy removal next time. Some repair to the split wood will be required, so in the meantime I stuck a bit of Sikaflex sealant over the holes and hope that'll keep the rain out. It will buy some time to confirm all the leaks are cured before we refit the cap rail. Another leak came from the saloon window. So I carefully removed the inner aluminium frame, scraped out the old headlining and gave it all a good clean. And then I refitted the frame with self-adhesive butyl tape. The tape is highly elastic and pliable, making it easy to shape and mould to fit various surfaces. It's also highly resistant to water, air and UV radiation, so it's perfect for above deck sealing. And it's so much easier to use and clean up and remove than the traditional one-component polyurethane sealants. However, I will only be using the tape for above waterline applications. Right, so the saloon is cleared out, ready now for some, basically just to put some framing in for the benching. These holes are old instrument holes. That one is the old speed log. It's not the same diameter as the one of replacement, so I'm going to take that out in order that I can use the same hole to put the new sensor in. It's really it's an early thing to do, but it's important because it needs to define the room. I can take it out really easily as well, so I can remove the boards to get access. But one of the things we've got to do is make sure there's access hatches to get down to bilge there, and also for storage. So I've been cutting those in. But that's a carcass, and then I'm going to clad the outside later. So I was hoping to actually do a bit of filming to getting this in, but it's raining, so I had to run it all in. So anyway, there it is. I mean, it's not a particularly exciting shot, is it really? Putting some foam cushions on a seat. But there you go, that's it, the sofa's in. So another important installation is our mobile internet. If you're anywhere on a boat, you might not get the best signal, and certainly your mobile phone itself inside the boat will struggle, even though it's a plastic boat. We've got our own Wi-Fi router in here, and we've got an external aerial on the roof which will allow us to pick up a mobile signal. But it's quite a simple installation. There's lots of routers out there now that are doing it, and there are some very expensive marine ones, and there are also some slightly cheaper normal ones, and there's some sort of mid-range ones. I'm going for a mid-range one, and let's have a look at that. So this is the Teltonica Networks RUT241. You'll see that on the rear you've got the SMA connections for the aerials, and on the front you've got the LAN ports, you've got the SIM slot, and you've got the power supply. You've also got a signal strength meter in there as well. It's a simple box, but the software on it and its capabilities are quite incredible, especially for something of such a small form factor. Now, I'm not advising anyone who doesn't know what they're about to start reconfiguring network routers, but this one does have some features that might be useful to a boat owner that would justify both the additional cost and the time spent getting to know what does what. Firstly, there's an excellent real-time signal recorder, so if you're not sure if you have enough signal and that's why things are running slow, you can take a look. You can then check if you're passing traffic. This is especially useful if you're on a pay-as-you-go SIM. You want to know if the SIM card's out of credit or it's the lack of signal that's causing your crew members to mutiny. Another check might be to see if your SIM card is active and registered to the network. And of course, when in another country, it can also tell you what network you're on. If, like me, you're using a pay-as-you-go SIM, you can see how your data usage is looking, helping you to decide if it's time to put a bit more credit on the SIM, or, if you're about to watch a big film, switch SIMs to one that's got a bit more data available. You have the option to forward SMS messages to your phone. These can be from the network, typically reminding you're about to run out of pay-as-you-go credit, or generated by the router itself, reporting fault conditions. If you fancy working from home on your boat, you can set up VPN tunnels that would satisfy most IT departments. And if you want to install a CCTV camera on board, so you can actually watch your boat when you're not aboard it, there are port forwarding facilities that can let you gain access to your camera. Although you'd obviously have to have some power available for that. So I've mounted it up here for now. I don't know whether this is going to be its final resting place, but it kind of feels like the right place. I've got a mobile aerial inside, an internal mobile aerial, and I've got a Wi-Fi aerial. There's two Ethernet ports, which is, again, why I've got this. So one will go to the TV, so we can watch smart TV, and the other will go to the shipboard computer. So we're going to have a navigation computer on here. So that's the two Ethernet ports. And then it's got its own SIM card in, and there's a SIM slot up there. And then there's also another SMA socket, which goes round the cable and makes its way out of the boat. And currently out onto the roof, although it will be mounted on the mast when we get the masts up. This is the box that the aerial came in. It's pointing, and it's an omnidirectional marine aerial. The underneath has got a suitable thread on it so that you can put it to a rail mount or a bracket. And it's omnidirectional, which means it's not, you don't have to point it in any particular direction, which is very useful when you're on a boat because you never know where you're going to be or indeed where your signal's going to be coming from. So that's the Wi-Fi done. What's next? Now, I said I was going to clad the sofa and other areas of the boat with some nice finishing wood. So I nipped out to a campervan and motorhome converters warehouse to see what the options were. There was a range of lightweight plywood boards with a huge choice of finish options, but these were not real wood veneers. They were vinyls, effectively photos of nice wood stuck onto some less nice wood. There was a wide variety of materials on display, but the look and feel didn't really do it for me. It all felt a bit flimsy, like it wouldn't last very well. Also, tapes are needed around the edging to hide the plywood underneath, and I had visions of all that peeling off after a damp winter. It also wasn't any cheaper than real wood. Back then, to using timber. One important aspect of using sheet materials is working out how many sheets you'll actually need. And to that end, I find an incredibly useful website called opticutter.com. This is totally free for a DIY user with only one or two occasional projects, and it plans out your cutting schedule for you. You can define the sheet material. I used a timber yard close to the boat for my specific veneered materials and took the information off their website. But I've also loaded in a generic full sheet to save some time later, as well as a few of the smaller sizes available from the common UK DIY chain stores. To create a panel plan, you add in your various size requirements. Then you can give it a sensible name to make things easy to identify later. Save and calculate, and it shows you a panel plan. Of course, if what you want won't fit onto a single board, it'll work out how many boards you'll need. Export all this to a printer or an Excel spreadsheet and either start marking out or hand it to your supplier for them to cut it for you. My supplier, and a big shout out to Skooma Timber of Scunthorpe, even went as far as writing on the edge of each piece what it was called according to my cutting schedule, which made things very easy when I got it all to the boat. Let's see if it fits. See if the measurements worked. Saloon side seat, this one. That looks good. And then this one is saloon seat front. So if that one goes in there, we have a result. I love it when a plan comes together. I don't know if you can see just how far off from square that is. Just put my finger for that. So that's against that bulkhead. So if we look at that then, give us an angle to strike off on the board. Now if I just turn that round, you'll see that one's got that seam down there. So you've got the A side there, and then you've got the B side there. So to make sure that when we're cutting or making any decisions on how or what we're doing this, we don't make a mistake, just chuck that up with a B. Well, here I am on the sofa. I hope you enjoyed this update video. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.